We usually have Akshika also, and she loves reading from books. So we don't have Akshika today. So anybody over here who is, I know Sanya reads very regularly. Is there anybody who's sitting with anything other than an encyclopedia to begin with?
Madam, how about this book?
Wow, wow, wow. Number of books coming up. What book is it, sir?
It reads as
Yeah.
the Advanced BACH FLOWER Therapy by Goetz Bloom, MD.
We can take a look at that. I've not heard or read of it, so we can take a look at that.
Okay.
Yes, I know. I of course know what you read from. I just know what you read from. I know you have that clinical experiences, BACH FLOWER Remedies. Who is this from, Isha? Who's the author?
Author is, it's a
Doctor.
German name, Goetz Bloom.
Okay. Okay. All right.
It's a huge book. The pages are, I'll just tell you, 386 pages.
All right. Okay. We'll try and see what that book says as well. Isha, who's the author of your book?
Dr. Bora.
Dr. Vora. Okay. Smriti, I saw a book you were holding as well.
Julian Bernard.
Oh, Julian Bernard. Are you?
Can you see it? No.
No, I can't see it, but I know Julian Bernard's system, so good. We're good with that. Okay, Shubhada and Sanya have the same book. It is
Michael Schaeffer.
is Sanya, you have the encyclopedia as well, right? How different is that from the encyclopedia? You're on mute.
Yeah, so I found this a bit more concise, and this was the one I had first, and this is my easy go-to, right? Because in this, she does have this versus that, giving like, for example, the similar ones. So she just talk about this and that. So in general, I have always found this a little more easier than the encyclopedia in terms of when I quickly need something, clarification.
All right. Okay, brilliant. So we have then, I can give my voice a rest. We have you who has the encyclopedia as well. And we have Shubhada who's got that book by Mitchell Schiffer as well. And we have Julian Bernard.
This Schaeffer's book gives you certain pointers which are very easy to relate to.
Great.
Related to each remedy. Rather than going through the full description, many times you can just browse through those and then relate.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. Like I said, I like the versions of the encyclopedia because they are deep and they talk about something beyond the basic as well. So we'll start with some basic information. So Shubhada, would you be comfortable? I'm already losing my voice. Would you be comfortable reading out as well?
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll have you read out from the other book, which both of you all said is concise.
Yes.
Tanya read out from the encyclopedia. And I would like to have a listen to Julian Bernard's description as well, because I know he is. So Julian Bernard was one of the first few guys who started the whole batch. Or rather, let's say when Nelson's jumped into the batch system and they started preparing remedies, Julian Bernard was one of the partners. And then eventually they had a split because of their ideologies and they moved, different and they started doing their own thing. So I have been lucky and privileged to see both those schools of thoughts. So we can take a look at that as well. And I think for beginners, that is good enough. Okay, so what we do for the others, what we do in a support group is in a level 1 or a level 2 class, we can literally give about 5 minutes at the most, or sometimes when the discussion goes on beyond that, to any remedy, right? And you get that much understanding, that much knowledge about it. In a support group, we spend that entire 1 hour only on that one remedy or two remedies which we're comparing. So your view is much more expanded, your understanding is much more deeper, and which is why the support groups are fun. And it is not just about completing a certain level. So there is no agenda about getting a certificate at the end. It's just a reason and excuse to connect, to share thoughts, to talk about, oh, but then, when I took, for example, an Agrimony, I went through this, or when I took a Centaury, I went through this, or this has been my experience. It's about sharing knowledge. There is no rigid structure to a support group ever. The only structure is that we try and get an understanding of two authors to understand where they're coming from and what do they have to say about the remedy, right? If we eventually get time, I would like to see what the book that Ravisa has that says, and Isha, even from Dr. Vora. So we've had the privilege of having Dr. Vora's family member learn or do level 1, 2, 3 with us. Rima Vora's been a close friend. So it would be nice to read from that as well. Okay, please give us the full name and author of the concise book that. Thank you. Okay. So any book that we're reading from, we will take a snapshot of the cover page and the last page, the author's name, and send it on the support group. So whoever wants to refer to it, buy it, take a look at it. All of these books are available on Amazon. So you can take that as well, right? Okay, lovely. So unfortunately, we don't have the time to go through the introductions of everybody here, which I would love to otherwise. But yes, there are people from various different batches, people who've done level 1 ages ago, people who've already done level 1, 2, 3 are doing teacher training right now. Some who've completed level 1, longing or rather waiting to do level 2 for a very, very long time, I know. So we've got people from all different classes and batches, and that's the beauty about this session. Okay, my first question to everybody is, give me the description of Agrimony in very few lines. Anybody? Everybody who start speaking together because we have about 22 people here. So anybody who can put it, yes, Pratik.
Hides their true feelings.
Wow, that's concise. And how? Hides their true feelings. Absolutely. So Agrimony is someone who hides their true feelings and wears a mask.
Mask.
Yeah, they hide their worries behind a cheerful face or I'm okay kind of an attitude, and finds it very difficult to get in touch with their own emotions. I'm not going to get into details because we're going to read that. And vis-a-vis, how would you say what is a Centaury or who is a Centaury?
Say no.
Can't say no is what I heard vaguely.
Yeah.
People pleaser.
People pleaser, cannot say no, and is always trying very hard to be the good daughter, the good son, the good wife, the good husband, the good one who pleases everybody and makes sure that everybody is taken care of at the cost of their own needs and desires and wants, right? That is really a gist. Okay, so let's hear it from Shubhada. Let's start with your book. And
Okay.
read us about Centaury first, then we'll go to Sanya and hear from the encyclopedia, and then we'll move on to Agrimony. Okay, guys,
Okay.
the piece of guideline or instruction, I'm going to follow this as well. So when one person is reading, let's all put ourselves on mute because, like I always say, doorbells, cats, dogs, parents, spouses, children, everybody speaks at the same time when we decide to hear. So let's just go on mute and let one person speak, and then whoever wants to speak can unmute themselves and speak. All right. So all over to you.
Okay. So I will not read out the description. I will read out, they have given Centaury key symptoms and symptoms due to energy block. Okay. So key symptoms for Centaury: weak-willed, overreaction to the wishes of others, good nature easily exploited and can't say no. Now the symptoms due to energy block: passive, weak-willed, guided by others. Individuality not well developed. Willing, obedient, and even subservient. Reacts to the wishes of others rather than his or her own. Easily led astray in the desire to please, in extreme cases to the point of self-denial. Sometimes a martyr, a slave rather than conscious helper. Under the yoke of another, more egotistical personality, maybe parent, life partner, superior, etc. Easily persuaded, good nature easily exploited, often a Cinderella for others or a doormat. Unconsciously adopts gestures, phrases, and opinions of a stronger personality. Easily tired, pale, worn out. Avoids dispute, not standing up for own interests. Tends to give more than he has. Easily overestimates own resources in eagerness to serve. In danger of failing to achieve mission in life. Now, after this, actually, whether we should read it in continuation or later on, just let me know. They have also given potential for transformation, then supportive measures which can be taken for a Centaury, and also positive affirmations for the practice.
Okay, so the potential transformation I would like you to read after Sanya finishes reading. Could I please ask you to repeat the line that talks about ego? I did not quite catch that.
It didn't say, it is saying that this personality is under the yoke of another more egotistical personality.
So the another personality being?
Not about Centaury. Centaury is under the yoke of another.
I love the term Cinderella.
Yeah.
Love it.
True.
Absolutely love it. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, Sanya, if you could give us the description and then we'll come to the potential transformation and measures.
Do you want me to read bits of paragraph which I have underlined, Aarti, or do you want me to read like how Subhadra, I think her name was read,
Shubhada.
giving Centaury keys? Sorry,
Shubhada. Her name is Shubhada.
Shubhada. Yeah. Or just the bullet points that are there in this also.
No. Not the bullet points. The description.
Okay, so not the whole thing, or you want me to read the whole description? It's 2 pages. Read the whole thing.
Because I think encyclopedia gives quite a deep insight. So
yes, of course, yes.
Read. Yeah, I think read the entire.
All right. So Centaury, the service flower, that is from passive service to active service. Edward Bach's description is kind, quiet, gentle people who are over anxious to serve others. They overtax their strength in their endeavors. Their wish so grows upon them that they become more servants than willing helpers. Their good nature leads them to do more than their own share of work, and in doing so, they may neglect their own particular mission in life. Edward Bach. Centaury relates to the soul's potential for self-determination. In the negative Centaury state, your own will is not sufficiently developed. Centaury people sometimes appear to have spent all of their willpower during the birth process. They seem happy to simply enjoy being a part of any group or activity. Children with marked Centaury traits, so-called easy kids, inverted commas, are good-natured, pleasant, and are responsive to praise and criticism. They are hardly ever a problem to their parents, except perhaps insofar as their peers easily take advantage of them because they are so ready to please. As adults, they are easily influenced by stronger personalities who will take advantage of their innately helpful nature for egotistical purposes. For example, of a person in need of Centaury, one example of a person in need of Centaury might be the oldest daughter who does not marry so she can look after her ailing mother. Another is the son who would have liked to become a teacher himself, but allowed himself to be talked into taking over the family construction firm to honor his father's wish that it remain in the family. Centaury is also warranted for the young wife who mistakes slavery for love, readily fulfilling all her spoiled husband's wishes, suppressing her own real needs for his every whim. People in the negative Centaury state often say, while helplessly shrugging their shoulders, I simply can't refuse. Or, I'm just unable to say no. Outsiders often shake their heads at the way a Centaury type makes himself a doormat. Strong Centaury types often complain of tiredness and being overworked, a result of taking on too much in their desire to help. Apart from this, however, they don't consider their state a painful one, failing to recognize its full implications, and therefore also failing to notice that with all their service to others, they aren't fulfilling their own purpose in life. The motive behind their helpfulness is nothing but the very human desire for recognition and validation. In the negative Centaury state, the magnificent virtues of wishing to help others, of service and sincere devotion to a cause have become distorted. You erroneously and uncritically, like an immature child, continue to make yourself subservient to other people, giving in to their human weaknesses instead of holding on to your own personality and higher principles. To be able to serve these higher principles, it is a primary necessity to develop your own personality, to make it the instrument of the soul. In this context, you must realize that the personality can only be built, supported, and preserved by your own will. Thus, a condition that is too strong in most negative states, in brackets, your personality is strongly separated from others. I repeat, thus a condition that is too strong in most negative states is too weak in the negative Centaury state, which is your personality is not separated enough from others. Right? So, Aarti, I didn't catch that while I was reading it. So, if anybody has a question about that later, maybe we can talk, right?
Yeah, I think even I didn't get it when you read it for the first time, and I understood it differently when you read it the second time.
Okay, so I will repeat it. There is two, in the same sentence, there are two parts in brackets. Okay. Thus, a condition that is too strong in most negative states, that is, your personality is strongly separated from others, is too weak in the negative Centaury state, that is, your personality is not separated enough from others. So, one is too strong in negative state and one is too weak in negative state.
So the way I understand this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is and I'm not saying this is how I understand the statement. This is how I am um intuitively and with experience understanding this related to the Centaury subject, that a Centaury by their innate nature are strong personalities, but in their weak state they fail to keep themselves away from the group, or like for example falling a prey to peer pressures or just going with what the family is saying. They do not separate themselves as a stronger personality and just go with it because the weak will.
Yeah,
But
it sounds like that.
otherwise, because from what experience, what I have realized is that when I took Centaury, I suddenly now have a head which feels like it just cannot be crushed by anybody else at times, and have very strong principles and very strong says in things. So that's how I understood that statement.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds about that, about the strong state of the Centaury and the weak personality. Okay, continuing. Some practitioners consider Centaury the most sensitive of all 38 states. Frequently, people with emerging psychic faculties initially experience a negative Centaury state. An imbalance arises if the psychic faculties are more strongly developed than the will. In this negative state, Centaury people are extremely sensitive. In this negative state, Centaury people are extremely sensitive personalities particularly to disharmonious energies. They are insecure, easily upset, and easily hurt. They'll often become ill out of the blue, not knowing that their sickness is due to this particular state. When paired with the negative walnut state, Centaury people may easily become victims of powerful spiritual influences. They might fall under the spell of enlightened teachers or religious sects. SECTS. In extreme cases, they will submissively subject themselves to apparently necessary laws and group rituals, running the risk of completely losing their personalities and diminishing their own chances for personal development. The Centaury essence will help you restore contact with the powers of your own will, concentrating the energy potentials in the personality and stabilizing them. A sensitive person described the powerful sensation arising after the first dose of Centaury as a straightening out of the left and right sides of the body, with the sensation most intensely concentrated in the solar plexus and thyroid chakras. In the positive Centaury state, people are able to make good use of their virtues of devotion and service. They can consciously decide to serve a good cause while recognizing destructive situations that they should say no to. They are well integrated into groups, participating fully without giving up their own personalities. At times, they may intentionally become the instrument that allows the entrance of divine powers for the benefit of major causes. In the course of therapeutic interviews, patients in the negative Centaury state should come to realize that they are not always helping others by rushing to meet their desires. On the contrary, they are hindering the learning process for both themselves and those around them. It is also valuable to examine the extent to which the negative Centaury state is an escape into another person in order to evade the process of your own development, which, among other things, involves learning to discriminate and make decisions. If your will has grown weak after a prolonged illness, you may be unable to do anything for yourself. Centaury could then give new vitality to your mind and body. There are 2 recommendations to develop the positive Centaury potential. Question yourself before every activity. Do I really want to do this? And when somebody asks you for a favor, ask yourself, what are these person's real motives for asking? To counter the self-destructive behavior observed among people in the negative Centaury state, it can also be helpful to adjust your posture. Instead of pulling your shoulders in and bending your neck forward, consciously straighten your shoulders, stand erect, and look forward.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Does anybody want to say or ask something before Shubhata could read the potential transformation? Yes, Shubhata.
2 questions that you are supposed to ask yourself in case of Centaury. If you could please repeat that.
Yeah. There are 2 recommendations to develop the positive Centaury potential. One is question yourself before every activity, asking the question, do I really want to do this? Questioning yourself before every activity, asking, do I really want to do this? And 2, when somebody asks you for a favor, ask yourself, what are this person's real motives for asking?
Shubhata, you had something to say or ask?
Yes, there was a reference to solar plexus and also thyroid. So can we repeat that part and just see what it is exactly?
Arti, it's at page 60, the lower, first column, lower part. Where was it? 1 minute. No.
Okay, so I think it's a continuation from what Sanya just repeated in terms of the questions. It says to counter the self-destructive behavior observed among people in the negative Centauri state, it can also be helpful to adjust your posture. Instead of pulling your shoulders in and bending your neck forward, consciously straighten your shoulders, stand erect, and look forward. I think there's the solar plexus was a little before that, was it?
Yeah, that's I must have trying to find it. I just don't know where it was. Just not able to find it yet.
I think it was just before the 2 questions to ask yourself. Just before that.
It is in the second paragraph, Aarti, on the page number 60.
Okay, so again, I'm going to read it if I come across that great. When paired with negative walnut states, Centauri people may easily become victims of powerful spiritual influences. They might fall under the spell of enlightened teachers or religious sects. In extreme cases, they will submissively subject themselves to apparently necessary laws and group rituals, running the risk of completely losing their personalities and diminishing their own chances for personal development. The Centauri Essence will help you restore contact with the powers of your own will, concentrating the energy potentials in the personality and stabilizing them. A sensitive person described the powerful sensation arising after the first dose of Centauri as a straightening out of the left and right side of the body, with the sensation most intensely concentrated in the solar plexus and thyroid chakras. Thank you for asking us to read that again. From what I understand, again, is when you're taking Centauri, it is more about learning to take a stand for yourself, learning to straighten up. The entire body language was more about someone who's ready to serve, ready to bend down and say, okay, what can I do for you? From that to straighten up and say, okay, I will look after myself first and then put on the oxygen mask. And all of that is related to the solar plexus because the solar plexus is what makes you a stronger personality. While you also have a root chakra, but the solar plexus is what actually roots you. It is what holds your core tight. It is what strengthens your spine. It is what makes you have a stronger bone in the body. And thyroid, from what I understand, again, people doing just level 1, this is not to complicate your understanding of batch. Try and have a perspective, try and have a subjective view of the entire thing. Thyroid or your throat chakra. So your thyroid is around the throat chakra. Your throat chakra is about expressing yourself. So people who either overexpress or do not express. And even in a Centauri, just like an Agrimony, interestingly, there is the need of expressing yourself or expressing what you like, don't like, what is going okay with you, what is not going okay with you to another person. And which is why in a negative Centauri state, you could be affecting your thyroid gland.
I do have thyroid. That's why I asked this question.
The reason I also asked is because both these things are troubling me so much right now. I like every week or every second week, my stomach has some diarrhea or some loose motion or acidity, and of course the thyroid also with the boy is sensitive and it's crazy
Even
how
I want
accurate.
to ask if we take this Centaury, fine. This applicable to me because I am the same person. I cannot tell no to anybody. It's not because that people will tell me good. It is my nature that I cannot tell no or see somebody sad, right? So I always keep on telling somebody yes, and I go out of the way and help people, and people have taken me for granted, right? And I don't want clashes. I cannot say even no to my husband because I think if I tell no, he may be disappointed, then we'll have clashes. And I say yes, don't without even thinking of it, right? But if you take this and if I stand for myself, is it that again the clashes will come?
What does your understanding tell you?
I can say no, right? But I don't say no because I don't want the clashes or I don't want anybody to get sad. Fine, because I have many responsibilities at my home. I'm the only daughter-in-law and I have to look after many. I have many old people to look after.
So are you
So I
okay
think
with people getting sad, and are you okay if people get hurt, realizing that you are not hurting them or you are not making them sad, but just taking a stand for yourself? Is anybody's sadness and getting hurt your responsibility or their own?
it's their own responsibility.
So the remedy is about balancing your emotions and serving you, not serving the world.
And I have maximum solar plexus problem. I know because I know since I'm healing, I have overcome it by from there. But still, at times I think I flow. I go in that flow.
You will never get rid of it if you're only working on the body and not on your emotions. If you work the other way around and work on your body, is when your body will recover. Know that, right?
Yes, yes.
That's your answer.
Thank you.
Yes, Sangeeta ji.
I think you answered my question, Aarti, because I wanted to say that just the remedy without the self-work is very hard to then bring that aspect of your personality in balance. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm sure here we have a mix of people who've been Centauri for eons, worked on themselves, and I can vouch for at least myself and Shubhada. I know she's been taking remedies for a very long time, and I know people over here, like Mansi rightly said, who've realized, oh my God, this is me, and are scared of working on themselves. I also know, and I'm sorry to call you out, guys, but that is what the support group is for. I know Kanan, who's realized that this is me, and it's high time I need to work on myself, and embraces the change. But let me talk about the stage where you realize, okay, this is me, but what if? What if I start? And it's so sad that Akshika is not here. Akshika has been another Centauri. And I remember when we earlier started off with her, of course, it happened in a level 1 class when she realized, okay, this is 100% me. And she said, but Aarti, how do I take? Because I'm a daughter-in-law, I have a mother-in-law, I have a husband, I have children, this, that, and the other. And all my life, I have catered to them. So now if I suddenly start talking about what I want, how are they going to take it? Again, very typical Centaur, right? Perhaps that is how I started as well, that, oh my God, what if what was scariest for me is when I learned that what Centauri does is it makes you assertive and it helps you say a no. And it talks about helping yourself voice out what you want. And that was a big no-no because that's how we've lived our life, right? How can I speak about what I want? I have to be the good daughter, be the good sister, be the good whatever in the relationship and adhere to somebody else's needs. Now, Mansi, this is to answer your question. When I started taking Centauri, yes, a lot of people got a root shock. Oh my God, what just happened? How did she speak up? And it was not more so about them feeling, oh God, now I can't bully her. Oh God, now I can't take advantage of her. Or now I can't use her. Or now I can't suppress her. Because you realize, like we are on a journey, everybody around us is also on a journey. They are not put on Mother Earth to make you a victim, right? They're not put in your family or you've not been put in their family so that they can torture the hell out of you. They're just doing that unknowingly, unwillingly, subconsciously because they are on a certain journey, and some of them have not made a choice to heal. Some of them have not made a choice to be aware and transform. When you change, trust me, this is not theoretical. When you start changing,
ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ.
somewhere you are
ಹೌದಾ?
responsible
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
as well.
ಕಾಂಪ್ಲಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಕೇಸು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ
Somewhere you become responsible for their journey to change as well. And whether they accept it willingly and allow it in their presence, the transformation might be a little less painful and easy. And if they resist that, then they might make it painful for them. But transformation will happen for sure. If I have to talk about a few years from now, let's say the first time that Centaury in me acted up after taking the remedies is maybe in 2014-15, when I suddenly started speaking up in the family. And I'm the youngest daughter. I have an elder sister. Everybody around me is older than me, and I was only supposed to listen to what was told to me. When I first started speaking up, it was a big shock. But trust me, the first time itself was very easy, because when I suddenly spoke up, I felt like there was a big boulder lifted from my chest, and I was like, oh my God, I did that so well. But what was even more beautiful is I was in an argument with my sister. I remember it was not even an argument. I was talking about something, and she very strongly disagreed, and she said, no, but then I think this. And I listened to the entire thing. Normally I would have cursed her, cursed myself in my heart, gone quiet, gone into a very passive aggressive mode, done what she had said. But I remember this conversation clearly, where I sat her down and I said, can you sit for 2 minutes? I think I need to speak. That itself shocked her, because that was not my approach. And she sat down and I said, I understand what you're saying, but I feel for me it works like this, and this is what I want to do. She looked at me all shocked and confused, and she said, okay. And I walked out in shock, and I was like, what did just happen? Like, did I do something? Did she just give in? I don't know what that change was, but that was the start of a journey for me. I'm not saying after that everything was easy. It was not at all easy. It's been very painful. It's been very hard. It's been very difficult to see that all along I have accepted what people said. All along I have done what people asked me to do. But today when I voice out, why is it so difficult for people to say, this is just her, let her be? But this is for me to realize that people are not going to accept it lying down every time. Right? It is about how strong I stay to myself. And it is never about hurting anybody else. It is about making the choice of stopping to hurt and doing something. And people do fall in place eventually. Like now, it's very interesting when I hear some very interesting relations in my life who say she's a very strong-headed and an opinionated person. And whenever I hear that, whoever's seen the movie Three Idiots, I remember the time when Sharman Joshi stands up to the interviewers and says that I've had to break a lot of bones to get here, and I'm okay to be called strong-headed and opinionated. It makes me feel very, very strong. So you have to make the choice, because like I said, this journey is yours.
But Arti, having heard you, there are times that people can become highly self-opinionated, strong, excessively strong-willed, right? But do not realize it, because earlier they were so submissive, right? Going to the flip-sided opposite of it, 180 degrees. And then there is actually it is being a very, I don't want to use the word strong word like selfish, but so afraid of, because they have been so submissive all their life, so afraid to ever let that happen to them. This side becomes so strong and actually not in a healthy way, right? So therefore, even if they get a feedback, right? So I'm not saying this to you because I have not interacted with you. But suppose somebody gives them a feedback like what you got. Perhaps it would be good one takes a step back and does take a check, right? A reality check. Have I really gone overboard from one side to the other side, right? So just expressing that also, because see, while taking the remedies, also consciously being aware I'm taking it for this, and then bringing out, because you feel that you have that support of the essences helping you to cleanse, then coming out more strongly than required.
I would agree and disagree here, and I will tell you why do I agree. Because, like I said, and like you rightly picked up, that somebody could give me an opinion that you're very strong-headed. Now you just don't want to listen. I hear it all the time. In fact, this very same sister that I keep talking about, fighting and growing up with, if I have to call her now, she would definitely say that, yeah, there are times you just don't listen. Multiple things to that. One is there is, and I always say this about batch, that there is a certain awareness that batch remedies bring about in a person, right? That you become more aware about what has been happening, what is happening. You're self-aware. Yeah, let's say self-aware is the right word. So you take certain steps and you feel that no, this for me, I just want to follow, because now if I give in, like you said, now if I give in, again, somebody will take advantage. Having said that, the Centauri in you never dies. So you do have this thing that comes up and keeps you in the check of, am I hurting this one? Was I too harsh? Did I really speak very strongly? All of those things that keep you in a check. At the same time, when I said I disagree to it at some level, is because, so if I look at my journey, I've not just been on Centaury. Yeah, when I'm talking about 2014, it's at least 10, 12 years ago. Uh, there have been other remedies which you combine because you have fears, you have insecurities, you have, anger, you have hurt, all of that. And when you work on the other things as well, very honestly, like to be in allowance and accept that, okay, I do have fears, I do have insecurities, I could be jealous as well, I could be the willow types as well, I could be the beach type as well. And then to take those remedies, that is what actually keeps you in balance and in check, and stops you from going overboard. So yes, Archana, I'm picking up your messages also. I quite resonate with all of this, being youngest in the family and two elder sisters. Now there is no need of external validation or recognition. It is self or internal validation. Absolutely. And that validation word is so, it's a sore point for me. It's so interesting that I started taking Centauri and I realized, okay, I care to hoots about what the world thinks about me. And whether or not anybody thinks I'm a good girl, I will still do what I have to do. And it's been so many years. Trust me, this morning, and I always say this in my support groups, that for people when they're meant to come on a support group, no, just a few hours before that things happen, which then they start relating to during the conversations. This morning I was doing something in the house, and for I think for the first time I perhaps made my mother sit there, and I told her, I said, hang on. I said, while I'm doing this for you and you are fretting and you're calling, you're showing me your unhappiness and uneasiness with what I'm doing. I was trying to say something and she was again going on, into a tangent with her emotions. I had to pull her attention and say this out in simple words, that I said, do you realize, or have you ever realized, that lifelong I've been waiting for your validation and recognition? And what I'm doing right now is also an attempt to get that, but I'm not getting it. Of course, she did not understand me. Of course, she did not um, hear me out. She listened to the thing, what I was saying. But when she walked away, the earlier Centauri me would have been very upset, and perhaps I would have cried and thrown a fit about, oh my God, she's not listening to me. But I turned around and, in a very invisible way, gave myself a pat on my back and said, well done. You said you needed validation from her. Now, whether or not she hears it is not important, because you got it out and you heard yourself why you're doing this entire drama that you're doing. And that place to be in there because of the remedy is beautiful, is absolutely beautiful. Yes, Sangeeta ji.
Is there something like also the remedy having its own inherent intelligence of, bringing that balance in what it's meant to do? It's
Yes,
not going to take you from one extreme to the other. Would it be fair to say that, Aarti?
absolutely. I would totally agree to that. Because if that was the case, then um there wouldn't be times when you would realize, okay, I'm going back into my old patterns, or there wouldn't be that self-talk that would happen. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I doing this okay? That wouldn't have happened.
So, Aarti, I have something to say. The After doing the first batch one course, the medicines took almost a month to come to me, the remedies. So I just got them like 2 days ago. I still haven't started. But just the whole doing batch one and realizing I'm a Centaury, one change that has happened is I'm taking motivation from the people around me. Like, I don't know who was saying that her solar plexus was getting affected, and she's scared if she goes the other way. But
Answer.
I'm just comparing myself. Say, for example, once something happened with my husband, he's an agrimony. I'm like, okay, in this situation, what would his reaction have been? Or what would he have done? Would he have felt that he required so much validation from me? Not. Normally not. So I'm not trying to, do tit for tat, but I'm just talking to myself and saying, look, don't take it so seriously because everybody around you is not putting so much pressure on themselves.
Absolutely. And most of the time, the overthinking that we do is, like you rightly said, it's about what we are putting ourselves through. We are putting ourselves through more pain. I always say this to other people, that people don't have so much time to think about you.
Exactly.
They're only bothered about themselves.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, oh, what would this one think? What would that one think? They will think about what they are going through, not what you are doing. It's your mind that's playing games and making you go through that pain, that, what will she think about me? What will he say about me? How will they react if I do this? Yes, they will react, they will say, they will have opinions, because they are on their own journey and they have to learn something. Not because they're sitting over there to judge you or to analyze you. No, that's people don't have the time to do that. If that was the case and people had invested so much time in analyzing who you are, then they would have understood you a little better rather than misunderstanding you. They're misunderstanding you because they're in their own, you know, inward journey.
But as Centauri, we spend a lot of time thinking about others. A
Others.
lot of time.
Exactly. And that is why we're Centauries, right? That is the trait. Okay, lovely. Shubhada, we still have to do the potential transformation. After this conversation, I think it would be lovely to hear that.
Yes. Shall I start?
I wanted to ask something.
Yes.
When we say as Centauri, we think more about others. So Centauri thinks about what others think about them. They care about others' opinion, or they care about others' feelings, or both.
They care about others' feelings, and the subconscious or underlying need is that I need them to like me. It's not more about what will they think about me. Whatever they think about me, they need to like me is the dire need. It's a need. It's a human need, which is where the validation, acknowledgement, appreciation comes from. That, to be troubled. Why does my XYZ not like me? Why do they feel I am, a certain way? So I will do everything possible to make sure the person who dislikes me also ends up liking me.
Isn't that
Not
with everybody?
everybody in the sense like everybody wants to be liked.
Yeah, I'm asking
No, not at all. Not at all. Trust me, there are a lot of people in the world who say, I care a damn. I need to like myself. I've heard people say that if I do this, I will not like myself. And even if you don't like me, it's okay, but I need to like myself. Whereas it's the other way around with Centauri. I may hate myself for doing this, but then I am the favorite student, you know. I'm the favorite friend. I'm the favorite daughter. I'm the favorite daughter-in-law. Yes, Ram.
Hi, Arti. This is regarding the sentence which you asked her to repeat once again. No, the condition that is too strong in most negative states is too weak in negative Centaury state. You remember that sentence?
Yes, yes.
So, from what I understood, like let us consider a beach or vervain or wine. So, in negative beach state or negative vervain state, the people are so strong that that their personality will be strongly separated from others. Whereas in the negative Centaury state, it is too weak and it is very difficult to separate from others, and they just like water, they fit into the shape of the vessel. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
It is quite an interesting line. No, it took me quite a bit to kind of understand what it meant.
Okay.
Yes, but you're bang on right with that.
Yeah.
Hello,
So
ma'am.
actually, the same sentence is it okay if I talk?
Yes.
Yeah. So this same sentence, what he also brought up and we spoke about earlier. What the more I'm looking at it, it is like there is two types of personality in the Centaury, right? One is the strong, that is too strong in the negative state. That in that case, the personality is strongly separated from others. So, and the second one is the opposite of that, is too weak in the negative Centaury state. That is, the personality is not separated enough from others. So would it be correct to understand that in this negative Centaury state where the personality is not separated enough from others is where we are seeking attention or people pleasing and blah blah blah.
Absolutely.
And on the flip side, the other one where that is too strong in the negative state, where your personality is strongly separated from others. So in the weakest, it is not separated enough from others, and the other one, it is strongly separated from others. So would it be that in the other one, where it is strongly separated from others, where one becomes more about the self, that don't want to leave that place of taking care of oneself, if that's the right way one would be thinking inside, but it gives the impression, or rather actually becomes, where one is gone on the other extreme. So both the things are here actually.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the place where it is separated in the strong state. I mean, in the weak or negative Centaury state also is where all your holly, pine, willow, chicory, all of those are sitting.
That is in the strong one, right? In the strong negative state.
Yes.
Yes.
Disservice to yourself in the bargain of doing service to others, but then these are what you're actually breeding inside.
Okay.
The anger, the guilt, and the guilt is not so much about saying a no to others. The guilt is more about I am not doing what I want to do. And the anger is building against my own self. And that is the negative state of Centaury.
So a negative, the strong negative state of Centaury will leak into becoming a chicory also.
Yes,
because feeling that I'm doing so much for everybody, right? Coming from that state of, that I'm doing so much, and what am I getting in return? Even that, and even the holly where there's, anger, resentment.
Hold on.
Then that what I'm seeing in the Centaury remedy compared to others, that there is two opposite types of a Centaury, right? But both are not on a healthy page.
Both are not on a healthy page. Absolutely.
Yeah. So both are on the negative side. One is the strong one is the weak one. Yes. But both are damaging in its own way.
Totally.
Madam, may I just
yes, sir, please.
My point over here. See, we are talking about flower remedy, and when we start on some flower remedy mix or whatever, then what we expect is balance and harmony, in fact.
Right.
Not opposites or something,
Absolutely.
clashing. So, in fact, coming out of the pain, we are unnecessary now finding the situation where there are two opposites, and again, it is a turmoil. So, here is where I applied for my clients, in counseling. Two aspects, two tools we want to take from here is the positive affirmations which need to be written and recited regularly. Okay, there is one transformation, wonderful tool, but how do we take out the affirmations? It's not only from the BACH remedies, prescription, but what I feel is it involves our emotional skills, okay, emotional skill, cognitive skill, and behavioral skill. So, along with flower remedies, I always use REBT and such tools. So, is this okay? What
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that share.
Inspiration of all those things. In fact, I am a yoga teacher as well, so that also. So, while in the transformation process, we ourselves should feel comfortable, balanced, harmonious. So for these two tools help me a lot. The yoga aspect, Ashtanga yoga, where otherwise I measure. Can I take 1 minute?
Sure.
Yeah. So in Ashtanga yoga, or just when you say yoga, people generally think about asanas and all those things. But here I want to emphasize that in Ashtanga yoga, the first one is yama and a niyama. Those two things are very, very important. There are yamas and there are niyamas. Okay, and after that, naturally, deep breathing and pranayama is wonderful. But after that, it's a pratyahara. Okay, that aspect. Wonderful psychology in that. And then dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Sama adi, meaning balance. So this is what I do, integration of these three tools with me. I hope I make some sense here in participation.
You made absolute sense, and thank you so much for that insight, because like we were just saying that it's not very easy for everybody to transform.
Exactly.
Transformation itself is difficult. It could be, but it can still be pain-free. When we talk about nature's transformation, I can think about a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Though it's the most beautiful thing to happen, but the butterfly or the caterpillar has to go through creating or giving itself another life to get into something that beautiful. And that is never ever easy. It is a journey, but you can embrace it. And for that, you do need this integration. Yeah, whether it is with yoga, whether it is with of course, that is exactly what we're doing when we're even doing the BACH consultation. Of course, every counselor, every practitioner would include a different aspect of therapy, but reasoning and getting the person ready to embrace this transformation is also as important as the transformation in itself. What happens later on when you start off with remedies is very easy because the remedy is doing its job. But for you to step into a place of, okay, I am here now, I am ready, that is the task. Yeah. Yes, Amin.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to share this that recently I had seen this movie, Movie's name is Mrs., wherein the housewife goes through a transformation. There I can see clearly both the negative states of Centaury. Initially, she is very submissive, and then later on, she becomes so aggressive. And I personally also have gone through that. In fact, the other state of Centaury, where the person is very aggressive, you had also pointed out that I was more into Holly and chicory type of thing. So my question is that is it like Centaury is somebody who does not know how to draw boundaries, or they make very, very strong, ceiling high boundaries, and they're like, we will take, not a single nonsense or single kind of, any bad behavior from anybody at all. If a Centauri turns towards that kind of a person, that, from now on, I will never be a victim at all. Is that also a Centauri?
It's there is no straight, simple way of explaining this, and I'm going to try my level best. One is yes, Centauri is somebody who cannot draw boundaries. That is the basic definition of a Centauri. Along with can't say a no, Centauri is someone who cannot make boundaries. So when you take Centauri, it helps you to draw boundaries, helps you to get into a healthy space where you learn to say a no. Now, when you're talking about, so is it somebody who then has sky high boundaries and very strict and rigid and XYZ? Now, here comes the game of your shadow personalities as well, right? You are never just one kind of a thing. That's where your peeling layers comes into play. That there could be a Centauri who's been, or whose innate nature was that of a Centauri and a willow. And in a very strong negative state, this person could go very, very uh, self-critical and go into a mode of, oh my God, my life is not worth living, or there's nothing great about my life. Or there could be a Centauri and a Chicory who will go into this thing of why is it that every time I should listen and why can't anybody else listen to me, and I'll go into a self-deprivation mode. Or there could be someone who could turn into an absolute rock water and say, okay, now I will never ever allow myself to go through this, and this is what I will follow for myself. So this other change that you're talking about depends on this other subdued, lying down personality that is also lying in you, which we call a shadow side, which you are also not aware of. This comes out later on when the Centauri does its job. So whatever your shadow personality was, then it starts popping its head, and that's the time you work on that. And that is what again brings you back into the balance. Otherwise, that negative personality could bring about the imbalance even if your Centauri starts balancing out. Do you understand my point?
Is that the peeling effect we talk
Yes,
about always?
absolutely. Absolutely.
This shadow aspect, is this spoken about and thought about in the second degree?
Not directly, but yeah, I think in level 2, level 3, bits and pieces of that do come out. But we do have a separate shadow workshop that is coming up, and Angela is going to be taking it, so it's beautifully explained.
Okay.
Where we kind of give preference to this aspect. Okay, last question before we move on. I do not want to miss the bit that Shubhada's going to read, which is this, I think, the scope of transformation, or where can a Centauri, how much can a Centauri transform? Amisha.
Hi, thank you. Wanted to just confirm with you, like as Ami mentioned, and you talked about Centauri. Would it be applicable to passive aggressive behaviors also, or do we have to go with wine for those kind of personalities?
Again, depends on what do you mean by passive aggressive and what is showing up. What is
Okay,
actually happening? How is the person behaving? It could be wine, could be chicory, could be below, could be beach, could be anybody. Yeah.
okay.
Again,
And
this passive aggressive behavior may not be the Centauri acting up. It could be the shadow side acting up.
okay,
Because passive aggression is not really a Centauri's behavior.
okay.
Okay, brilliant.
Thank you.
Shubhada, do we have you in place? I can't see you.
Yes, I'm there.
Oh, here.
Yeah. So before I start with this bullet points related to potential following transformation, since we had the discussion about after taking Centauri, will that person go to the opposite extreme? Can I read out two paragraphs which are given here related to that?
Please.
Okay, thank you. So Centauri energy will help restore contact with the powers of one's own will, concentrating the energy potentials in the personality and stabilizing them. A sensitive person has described how, after the first dose of Centauri, a powerful sensation arose, bringing the left and right side of the body into line and specifically concentrating in the solar plexus and in the thyroid chakras. In the positive Centauri state, people are really able to use their great virtues of devotion and service. They are able to serve a good cause according to their own laws, also recognizing the destructive elements to which they have to say no. They integrate well in a group, participating fully without giving up their own personalities. In this way, they are able at times deliberately to make themselves the instrument through which divine powers can stream for the benefit of major tasks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That itself is very self-explanatory.
Yes. Now I'll just read a few points which are given. So potential following transformation. So if Centauri takes the dose of Centauri, the remedy, he knows when to say yes, but also able to say no if necessary. Able to integrate well in groups, but always preserves own identity. Wisely and unobtrusively gives service, following own inner objectives, and able to live life in accord with own true mission. Then there are supportive measures. So before making any decision, the Centauri should ask himself, what do I really want? Anytime someone makes a request, ask what are the real motives. Mentally protect the solar plexus. For example, imagining putting on a belt of white light. And then lastly, there are positive statements, affirmations, like Sir was mentioning just a few minutes before. Uh, so these affirmations are, I am solely responsible for my development. My task is only to be found within myself. I am discerning more and more clearly. I am safeguarding my personality and standing up for my own needs.
Thank you so much. Okay, and since we mentioned today we're going to compare Centauri and Agrimony, I don't want to miss out like we missed out on last time. Can you also read about Agrimony the way you read about Centauri in the beginning before we could go to the details?
Shall I continue immediately? All right.
I just have a question, sorry.
Yes.
The affirmations, can you just repeat them, please?
Yeah, sure. I am solely responsible for my development. My task is only to be found within myself. I am discerning more and more clearly. And last is I am safeguarding my personality and standing up for my own needs.
I think Neeta, it was putting on a belt of white light over the solar plexus.
I didn't hear that. Thanks.
I quite like that one.
Yeah.
To kind of imagine yourself belted.
What does that mean, Aarti? Belt of white light over yourself?
So, yeah, if Shubhada, you want to go ahead and explain that.
It's actually many times in the meditation we do this. We are connected to the cosmic energy, whatever you call it's energy or it's divine power or whatever. We all are trying to connect with it, and then we are imagining that we have been provided with a protective circle, and that white light is a energy, positive energy that will protect you from the negativities. So your solar plexus, you are imagining that you are having a white light around it so that it is not getting disturbed.
Absolutely. So if I could give you a quick insight into that, Smriti, um, when we talk about we brushing against other people's auras and getting affected, a Centauri, like we read, was considered to be the most sensitive amongst all 38 remedies, which means somewhere our protection, our self-protection layer itself is a little weak, very permeable. Anybody, we can connect cords with anybody very easily, which is why we're empaths, which is why we feel somebody's anger instantly, even if they've not told us that they're angry, which is why the reason, and this is not gender specific, but we end up being agony aunts is because you immediately sense something's wrong with someone and you latch on, right? Now, the place to latch on, to connect with somebody, to connect chords is always the solar plexus, right? When you're saying the chords are connected, it's where your solar plexus is. And to make that strong, you're imagining that it's belted so that it becomes very easy and very important for you to stay protected, not drain or get drawn from anybody, right?
Thank you, Aarti.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I could relate to cutting the cords.
Because
Yes.
when we're cutting chords, we're cutting it there,
Yeah,
right? We're
yeah.
not cutting it anywhere else. We're cutting it at
Yes.
the solar plexus.
Right, right.
Okay.
Okay, shall I continue with Agrimony now?
Hi, sorry to interrupt. I joined late. Can you please help me with which book we are referring?
We will send pictures and snapshots of the books on the group, yeah?
Okay. Is it encyclopedia we are referring right now?
Yes, we're reading from two books. One is the encyclopedia, both from the same author, to be honest.
I just wanted to bring up something there, Aarti.
Yes, Neeta.
When you're talking about the solar plexus as being cutting the origin of the cord, excuse me, that we're connected to, also harks back to the umbilical cord that you're connected to another human being. So by energetically doing it through the solar plexus makes it addresses the origin, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, Shubhra.
Yeah, so we are now starting with Agrimony key symptoms. Attempts are made to conceal torturing thoughts and inner restlessness behind a facade of cheerfulness and freedom from care. So the symptoms due to energy block are an Agrimony likes to live in peace, in a good atmosphere. Discord and upsets in the surroundings cause mental strain. Will do a lot just for the sake of peace. Makes almost any sacrifice to maintain peace of mind within oneself and outside and to avoid confrontation. Makes almost any sacrifice, hides inner turbulence and restlessness behind a mask of jocularity and cheerfulness. The motto is always smiling. Attaches great importance to the impression being made. Minimizes problems and does not speak about them, not even when the subject is brought up by others. To escape persistent, worrying thoughts, always looks for excitement and variety, maybe cinema, parties, action of any kind. Sociable in order to forget troubles in good company. A good friend, the peacemaker, the great fellow, the life and soul of every party. Resorts to alcohol or drugs to overcome difficult times and damp down unpleasant thoughts. Always has to be on the move to stop thinking. When ill, plays down discomforts, jokes are made even to entertain the nursing staff. Children secret inner pain and feelings of loneliness in those who normally would quickly forget their troubles. So that's all about key symptoms.
Lovely. Thank you. Sania, do you want to take over?
Yeah. What do you want me to read, Aarti, from the encyclopedia?
The Agrimony description, maybe the first 2 pages. The key symptoms and patterns, I think, are almost a repeat because it's the same author.
Yes. Yes.
But the first description till key symptoms, maybe.
You mean so the first 2 pages, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there are actually 2.5 pages. So I'll just start reading. The book describes Agrimony as the honesty flower, from pretended harmony to inner peace. I like in this encyclopedia how the first 2 lines itself gives a clear picture of what it's all about. So Agrimony is it transforms you into the honesty flower, from pretended harmony to inner peace. Agrimony relates to the soul's positive potentials for honesty and the ability to confront others. Unrealized potential, that is negative agrimony state, is manifested in efforts made to ignore the dark side of life and to avoid any negative encounters. If you call someone who has just lost a court case and ask, "How's it going?" you'd normally expect to hear some form of despondency in the response. The agrimony subject in the negative state, however, will respond with a routine, "Great, thanks." And you'll have to know her very well indeed to sense the underlying disappointment. Those who need agrimony always present a cheerful, sweet, and carefree face to the world. In the beginning, therefore, it can be difficult to diagnose the negative agrimony state. People in need of agrimony are inwardly troubled by anxieties and fears, often material worries such as illness, financial loss, and problems at work. Yet, they would rather do anything than show their feelings. What's going on in private is nobody's business. Under no circumstances is a person in an agrimony state willing to lose face. Like an actor, she will remain cool and collected and will grin and bear it no matter what nastiness is lurking behind the scenes. Agrimony characters are quite sensitive by nature and have a great desire for harmony. Discord and tension among those around them cause them much distress that they often soft pedal for the sake of peace and sometimes even make sacrifices. They are very kind to those around them in the hope that others will in turn be kind to them. Spreading cheerfulness all around, they are popular among friends and colleagues at the club and even at the bar. They are the life and soul of the party. When ill, agrimony people are still popular. They play down their problems and even cheer up the nurses with their jokes. If agrimony types with its negative manifestations ever sit quietly by themselves, their repressed problems will seek a way into their consciousness. Yet it isn't in their nature to acknowledge the presence of problems, particularly any relating to their own personality. So they make every effort to avoid spending time alone. They will throw themselves into activities, enterprises, and social functions, be it local athletic teams, community theatre, or charitable organizations. Many people with an emphasis on agrimony's negative behavior patterns may also drown their sorrows in a glass of wine, or may smoke a lot, or try to cover up unwelcome feelings with drugs. The extreme negative agrimony state resembles the euphoria produced by alcohol. You appear relaxed, even high on the outside, yet there's tension within. Because they are very receptive and susceptible to outside influence, while also having a strong outer focus, agrimony people have little staying power. A woman in a negative agrimony state, for instance, may be very unhappy because she's unable to stick to her diet. She's driven by her inner restlessness and secretly keeps raiding the fridge at night. This will happen particularly when unpleasant thoughts eat at her. In the negative agrimony state, people will grieve over little things they fail to do. Minor failures, perhaps having forgotten to make a telephone call or mail a letter, or having an unsuccessful sexual encounter. Many such agrimony types have small hidden vices. The negative agrimony state often develops in early childhood. Consider the following example. A 3-year-old is standing in front of a birthday cake and many presents. Mom and Dad, Grandpa, Grandma, Aunt Erica, and Uncle Henry are all gathered around the table, observing every little move the child makes and hoping the child will be especially pleased with their gifts. Telepathic communication, or the acute receptivity of agrimony types, makes the child pick up on these expectations, and he tries to fulfill each and every one of them. There are some presents he doesn't like much, but he already senses that the idea is to keep smiling because it's nobody's business what I really feel. Compared with others, people with marked agrimony traits are more focused on outer aspects of the personality, not daring to show or even be aware of what's going on inside. The surface has to be well polished, even if chaos may reign beneath. The surface has to be well polished, even if chaos may reign beneath. The ancient symbol of the theatre, The double mask, one crying and one laughing, seems an appropriate illustration of this dual existence. In the negative agrimony state, you present only your cheerful mask, refusing to acknowledge your somber side. Attempts are made to pretend, even to yourself, that the less pleasant side simply doesn't exist. In other words, the communication between your thinking self and your feeling self is disrupted. Often a chronic state of war is being waged between these two levels of experience. A personality in the negative agrimony state is subject to a dual error. Refusing to recognize a large part of itself, it is unable to make full contact with its higher self and therefore doesn't recognize the soul's life plan. Instead, it acts according to its own limited maxims, and these tend to have a material emphasis. Yet, like every living being, it's still striving to attain an ideal state and unable to find this within. It looks for it in external circumstances that have a certain lightness and spirituality. The euphoria resulting from too much wine or encumbered dance appears to come closest to the desired state of mind for those with agrimony negative behavior pattern. Though in reality it is a false euphoria reinforced and expanded by the artificial world that has been created. As soon as the personality in such a negative state acknowledges its wholeness and accepts guidance of its higher self, the stabilizing forces of its own soul will come streaming in. It will gain inner strength and sufficient stability to better face the emotional irritations of everyday life. The awareness of negative experiences will no longer need to be suppressed, but can be consciously integrated. In the positive agrimony state, you are aware of the relative nature of all problems, finding within yourself the radiant, joyful state you previously sought outside. Being true to yourself and honest with others will have an effect such that the people you know very well become true friends. You will be able to discuss everything, including problems, openly and with diplomatic skill. In Bach flower therapy practice, agrimony is one of the flower remedies often indicated with children. Agrimony children are normally cheerful and sociable, and their tears dry quickly. When they go through developmental phases of internal loneliness and sadness, like all children, agrimony can help them communicate more easily. Even in puberty, when adolescents are dealing with many conflicting thoughts and emotions, agrimony can be very helpful. Additionally, agrimony has been shown to be helpful in treating addictions. In a Bach flower interview, it's best not to delve too deeply with agrimony subjects, but to aim more for a relaxed, casual dialogue. Agrimony patients are very sensitive to physical pain because suppressed emotional pain is pushing for recognition by way of the physical body. Internal restlessness may express itself physically in self-destructive habits such as biting fingernails, pulling hair, and pinching, or in nervous skin rashes. Many agrimony patients grind their teeth at night. Together with scleranthus, agrimony is stabilizing in situations that require adaptation in the workplace. Those who work shifts and those who fly and deal with different time zones and jet lag can benefit with agrimony.
Awesome, lovely. Thank you so much. Now, all those with agrimony partners and agrimony loved ones and agrimony family members, any thoughts, any afterthoughts? Is there anybody over here who relates to being an agrimony?
At times, we may need to be agrimony.
Need to be agrimony, okay.
Yeah, at work or outside, like we.
Okay, so that's a well plan though. That's a well thought plan. But is there anybody who relates to any traits of agrimony saying, okay, sometimes this is me, and it comes unconsciously?
We can say that scene was said about a child accepting birthday gifts and, always smiling.
Yeah.
I feel I've gone through that many times in my life.
So the reason
When,
I asked
people
this,
give you things and you just accept it, even
right.
if you don't like
The
that
reason I
kind of
asked
thing.
this because there's a slight overlap of Agrimony Centauri, which is why, because one common thing, absolutely, Archana, I was just coming to that. Avoiding confrontations is a classic common point between an Agrimony and Centauri. Both do not like confrontations. And the differentiating factor is a Centauri is more scared of hurting other people, and an Agrimony is more scared of getting hurt themselves. Yeah. So I don't want to hurt anyone, which is why I would want to say, oh, all presents are gay. All presents are beautiful. And an Agrimony might want to think that if I even express, I will be told this is not the right way to behave, which is why I will not do it. Yeah. Okay. So Sangeeta ji and then Gauri.
I didn't quite get the point about scleranthus and agrimony that was read out.
So together with scleranthus, agrimony is a stabilizing factor in situations that require adaptation in workplace. Exactly what Indira just said, that at times you might need to be an agrimony. So again, something that I have seen with my husband. Being an agrimony, he's a certain way, but he cannot be himself at work. Because at work, the situations almost force him to be a Centauri. And there to be or not to be is constant conflict that he faces. But he has to be a certain way because that is the basic behavior, decorum, everything that is expected at workplace. Right? Yes, Gauri.
Actually, I was going to put out the point that now I'm getting confused whether I am a Centauri or whether I am an Agrimony. After reading both the things, I myself am confused. Till today's date, I used to think that I'm a Centauri. But after reading all these things, now I am a bit confused. So I am not getting the clarity. Who
Okay, you'll be surprised, but there are a lot of people where agrimony Centauri is so overlapping that it is very difficult to understand, is this more of a Centauri or is this more of an agrimony? And maybe that is a shadow side. With a Centauri, an agrimony could be a shadow side, and with an agrimony, a Centauri could be a shadow side. And when you work with both, you perhaps might come to a realization what actually works strongly with you. Yeah, but yeah, I would assume you to be more of a Centauri, but I'm sure you're resonating with an agrimony, which is why you're saying that. So there could be traits of both. Yes, Neeta.
Years later, the agrimony in me has been discovered and taken 4 or 5 years later, where you think it's a brave face and then that you have to put up because you have no choice. I just wanted some clarity on the description about, excuse me, somewhere where she read that agrimonies prefer to be alone. Did I hear that correctly?
Sorry, I
don't like being alone. There's somewhere where she had said, where she read, do not like to be alone or like to be alone.
Alone. Oh, I kept hearing alone. Did
Can
anyone
anyone
catch
remember?
that? From what I know, agrimony is actually okay. So here it is. When they go through developmental phases of internal loneliness and sadness, like all children, agrimony can help them. Agrimony can help them communicate more easily. Is that the line you're referring to?
No, I think somewhere where she was saying that they like to be alone, where they don't like
No,
to
they
be
don't
alone.
like to be alone,
Okay.
and they want to mingle with people so that they can avoid their internal conflicts. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ram. So with an
Thank you.
agrimony, Neeta, it is more about I don't want to face my demons. And my demons are me, myself. The reason, so there are some agrimonies who consciously are not in touch with their emotions. I don't want to see the mirror. Yeah. There are some who, with that practice of just not reaching out to their own emotions, have become very, very disconnected with their emotions. When these people get time alone, it is very difficult for them to sit peacefully in their mind, which is why sleeping is a preferred option. Drinking, eating, smoking, any kind of playing video games, watching TV is a distraction to not go inwards.
Okay.
So,
But
which is
what
why
if,
loneliness is not
sorry.
preferred.
So what if an agrimony does like to be alone? Only because I think that's what she was saying, that they like to be, they like to mingle, and something about not being anybody else's business but my own. But what if an agrimony does not like to be alone? Does that still make him an agrimony because he's still wearing the mask? So that's just one feature that's not, it's not present.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
and I think so not being somebody else's business is about the emotions. So again, now this is an overlap between an agrimony and a water violet, which is why many people get confused, right? An agrimony does not want people to know what they are feeling, which is why I don't want anyone to come close to
Close
me.
to me.
I'm protected, but I don't want to be alone. So I will be out there. I will make you laugh. I will want to know what your problem is. I would want to talk to you about it, but I don't want you to know the true me. Which is why a lot of people get confused between agrimony and a water violet, whereas a water violet is very, very clear about what they want and what they feel. They are just very crisp about this is the person I will share it with, and it's not meant for everyone. With agrimony, they are very scared of showing their vulnerable side because they don't want to get hurt. Yeah. Yes, Sangeeta ji, and then Archana.
So if you have a client with these two aspects of Centaury and Agrimony, how would you work through the remedies?
Then you have trouble. Neha and I were just discussing in the background. We're giving remedies to someone very, very close. And the argument is I say that he's an agrimony and Neha says he's a Centaury. That's what we said, yeah. Yeah. But there is an overlap of both. And it would be then advisable to give both to see what comes out, like what is the peeling effect, and that would help you identify the course further. Yeah. Yes, Archana.
So, as in continuation to Sangeeta's question, what came to my mind when you mentioned during the class that when you are confused, decide what the remedy is actually doing. So, if it is now it is doing that agrimony, what it is doing that it is connecting you with the emotions. So, if the person is already connected with the emotions, then maybe he doesn't need agrimony. This is what I feel.
You just gave Neha a big win. But beautifully put, Archana, that yes, I always maintain that when you're confused about what remedies to give and what am I addressing, it's very good to think about where do I want to go? What is it that I'm achieving? Is this person not able to say a no? Or is this person not able to get in touch and understand what they're going through? Yeah. A very, very strong agrimony is someone who has major trouble understanding what they are going through. It is very painful for them to figure out what is this? Who am I? What am I? I don't know what I feel. And most of the times the answer is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Whereas a Centaury is very, very self-aware of who they are, what they feel, what they want. It's just the projection out to the world is very different. And that is masked. Thank you. Sanjay says agrimony type person wants to, is that command their conversations with others, while Centauri types do meekly observers role played. So could you say that yourself? Because I think I'm reading it wrong and understanding it wrong.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So a broad generalization was that that whenever agrimony types on a major way in which they want to project themselves. So agrimony type peoples or persons, they are commanding type. In every conversation, they want their way. It's my way or highway. Then this is what I'm telling about the peak level of agrimony type.
Strong agrimony types, yes.
Yeah, peak level. And same goes for peak level of Centaury types, in which they are observers and followers. That's what
Absolutely. I would, now that you're explaining it, I would actually agree to that. At a very, very strong level of an agrimony would want to be at the commanding position. And a Centauri would be more at, they'll take a back foot and they'll observe. They'll just watch. They'll take in everything. They'll sensitize themselves to that situation and keep quiet. Very true. And very beautifully put. Okay, yet another conversation that seems like should not end. But we're very, 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 very close to 8. Neha, are you confused? Okay, any shares, any insights somebody wants to quickly share? I think we gave Centauri a very justifiable time, and I think the next continuation should be agrimony with something else. I'm liking these support groups where we're taking 2 remedies in a comparison, because I think it just leads to another topic. So the next thing we should discuss agrimony at length and then move on to something else. So that's my promise. The next support group we will announce today itself will be on agrimony. But any shares about the entire experience? I'd like to hear from the first timers as well. How was it to be in this session where we're only concentrating on a certain remedy?
It was very enriching for me. Yes, it means everything is getting reiterated in a different way.
Right. Lovely. Thank you so much, Archana. Anybody else?
Actually, we don't have chance to read so many books. So if somebody is reading here and if you are taking that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Indira. And in fact, that was the sole reason for this support group to begin. We started this in lockdown only because people did not have the chance to pick up books. And I was sitting with a whole lot of books and I just wanted to read it out to people who did not get that chance. And that is how it started. It first started with a book club. We recorded some videos. Then we thought we'll just meet online and we'll discuss this. And it's been a great experience. Yes,
I
Smriti.
think these kind of comparisons give you a much more broader aspect of the remedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe sometimes we are just, especially about me, I can say that sometimes I get stuck into the keywords regarding the remedies. But when we discuss this comparison, the idea becomes more clear, especially in the last support group also when we discussed about mumulus and aspin. There were many such things which were more clear. And so the comparative study is much more helpful, I think so.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's very well put, that we get stuck in the keywords and there's so much more to the personality than just that one emotion, that this gives you a broader perspective. Yes, Priti, you were saying something.
I was saying the same thing. It just makes you understand each remedy at a much deeper and a much more clearer level than, just seeing the superficial level. And makes you realize, and, even if you talk to someone, it makes you understand that person better in order to, be able to give a particular remedy better to the person.
Totally, totally. Thank you so much. And I think for me, like I said, the support group gives me a chance to want to take a back seat. It's somebody else reading, somebody else talking. It's always a pleasure to hear. And I think what I loved about today's session, especially, is when Ravi sir spoke about the yoga aspect and the integration bit, because again, when I'm teaching a class, I'm compelled and confided to the structure of the course, because I follow a certain routine. I'm supposed to follow a certain pattern. I have to unfortunately say a strict no to something and cannot allow certain principles flowing in. But this is just expansive. This is much more open. I get to learn. I get to listen and talk about other aspects which may not just be batch related, but they still cater to the emotions, they still cater to the human mind and the human psyche. And that's the most beautiful aspect. I think over a period of time, we've realized 1 hour was not enough. So we started 2 hours. Now I think even 2 hours are not enough. But it at least is a starting point to something which is much more enjoyable than doing a certification. So thank you so much for participating. Yes, Smriti.
Just one small thing, Aarti. Last time also, we had given a lot of time to Mimulus, and Aspen was a little, not taken care of. So if we could, maybe talk about Agrimony and Aspen, I don't know. So,
That is why we started this groups where we spoke about one remedy. But
Hmm.
then in those sessions also, we would have comparisons and the other remedy would come up. But yeah, I think it's like that when the movie starts with one hero, the entire movie just goes behind one, and the other one gets like a supporting role wala, job. So yes, agrimony is something that I will come up with next time. And along with agrimony, I think we could touch upon Aspen as well, because agrimonies have their hidden fears. And curse and agrimony is not in touch with their emotions. Aspen could be a much more linked emotion because it's about an unknown fear and anxieties. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Can we put it down right now that it's agrimony Aspen? Because by the time we get over enthusiastic about the next group, we'll have a different topic which comes up. But
I was just going to suggest that if possible, please take Agrimony and Rock Water because I find that very confusing. Agrimony and Rock Water. I like already have 3 patients in which I'm giving both because I don't know what to give them, but out of the 2.
Interesting. Just remember to bring this up when we're doing it next time, when we're talking about agrimony. And let's see what comes up. And let's if we need more time with rock water, maybe the next session will be rock water then. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, guys. It was lovely to have you all here. I love when everybody just comes in. We have close to about 200 people, but whenever, however you get time, I know a lot of people request for recordings. We've tried doing this in the morning, we've tried doing it in the afternoon, we've tried doing it in the evening. I'm glad that Neeta, you also could log in, considering the time difference in the time zones. So trying to do my best, and I hope it really helps.
Thank you, Aarti and Neha. This is really wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so
Superb
much.
initiative.
And you will
Thank
get the recordings as well for this session. Just please download in the next 24 hours. Do not come back to Neha saying send the recording again. It's very painful. So please, please, please download it and save it and keep it safe with you. Yeah.
How long is it available for? The recording to
Thank you.
The download is available for 3 days now. It used to be 7 days earlier, but the download is available only for 3 days. And life catches up, you forget, and then it gets difficult to kind of find the link. So just download it and keep it as soon as you get it. Then wherever you save it, you can email it to yourself, and it'll be on records forever.
Fine. Thanks, Aarti.
Thank you so much, Aarti, Neha, and everybody for this great conversation. Bye. See you.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you.